In the 2 weeks since he was sworn in for a second term, President Trump has signed a slew of executive orders aimed at rolling back any Biden-era protections for transgender Americans. Now, Trump has already declared that government documents, including visas and passports, must now show a person's biological sex, not that person's expressed gender identity. He's also signed an executive order cutting federal support for transgender care. The order directs federally run insurance programs, including TRICARE for military families and Medicaid to exclude transgender coverage for anyone under 19. The new order targets hospitals and universities that receive federal money and provide the care. Precious Brady Davis is on the Board of Commissioners at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. She's also the first Black trans woman elected in Cook County. So good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Paul. I'm glad to be here.
Lots to talk about it. Let's get right through it. First of all, you wrote your memoir back in 2021 called I Have Always Been Me, and you write of your childhood being filled with neglect, instability, abandonment. Just very briefly, if you could talk about that background and whether young Precious would have ever seen the day that you would be doing what you were doing now, including winning elected office.
This book is about fashioning a shinier mold for myself. I always knew that I was bigger than my circumstance. Growing up in Omaha, Nebraska, there's a bar on every corner next to a church. Being raised in the church, I quickly found the power of community. And it was community that got me through those circumstances. And so I always dreamed of service. Being raised in the church teaches you to serve. I taught Sunday school at a young age, and so public service has been the through line of my entire life.
I talked to you about many of the executive orders issued by the president that serve to restrict rights and services for transgender individuals. First of all, I want to get your reaction to these orders and sort of ask the question, why do you think the Trump administration is so concerned over gender identity issues? One would argue it's the border, there's the border and the economy. Why the concern?
I think the president of the United States has fomented a culture war. This is what got him elected. The Trump campaign spent over $200 million running anti-trans ads. There are 3 million transgender Americans who make up 1% of the population. And for me, I think it's just a distraction. I think it focuses on the wrong 1% of the population, the oligarchs, who this president is going to cater to. We saw the president's inauguration. They're the tech oligarchs who are going to benefit from the tax cuts. And I think that the president knows that he can only reign by dividing people. He serves as the divider in chief. And I would say that we are more alike than we are different. The attack on DEI is ridiculous. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is the sum of each of our experiences. So someone who is a rural coal miner in Kentucky, they are just diverse as myself, as a Black trans woman, and I refuse to give in to the distraction.
But of course, it wouldn't work or take hold if he didn't have support in the country for people who backed that position.
Absolutely. This is how he got elected the first time. He won coal country, right? And he knows that there are people who feel like they are the forgotten men. There are people across the country for years, the marginalized, who have been forgotten. And I think that the president knows that he gets attention when he divides, and I refuse to give in to the distraction.
I'm going to take it up a level because Harper Seldon, a staff attorney for the ACLU's LGBTQ and HIV project, told Axios, and I quote, "The goal of the Trump administration appears to be laying out a plan to erase transgender people from existing under the law as part of an attempt to push them out of society." So my question for you is, what can you as a trans woman and an elected official do to respond and or resist those policies?
I stand on the great shoulders of great trans people who came before me. Sylvia Rivera, Marsha P. Johnson. That's what our movement is all about when we came out of the shadows in 1969. And we've seen this before. During the Reagan administration, they refused to acknowledge the people who were living with HIV. During the Bush administration and as well as the Clinton administration, we saw don't ask, don't tell. And during those times, it was community who organized, who refused to be cast into the shadows. And I think when people see themselves reflected in the arc of history, they say, I can be that too. And so I'm glad to know that trans and gender nonconforming youth can know specifically in Illinois that there is an out Black trans woman who serves in public office and was elected by over 1 million people.
But then, of course, there's the policies on a federal level that you can't work around. Last week, Secretary of State Marco Rubio ordered all passport applications frozen after an executive order signed by the president, which was called Defending Women from Gender Ideology Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government. That's the name of it. And he said where people had put an X, because you could do that, male, female, or X, had to pull all of those applications, saying the policy of the U.S. is that the individual sex is not changeable and sex will be used to identify, not gender. In fairness, is there a national security argument that can be made where they might say, look, that's one of the reasons we have to have an identity noted?
Trans people have always been here and always will be. And so I push back on that notion. It is about the erasure of trans folks. And I think that trans folks have always navigated through community. And so I'm glad here that I live in Illinois where equality is the law of the land. And I refute that notion that trans people are a national security risk. And what they're trying to do, they're trying to legislate trans people out of existence.
You run for elected office and you end up on the Water Reclamation District. That wouldn't have been on my bingo card for what you would run for. Why?
For 130 years, the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District has been on the forefront of public health. I worked at the Sierra Club for a number of years, and so I understand the plight of environmental justice, and that's exactly what the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District does. They're the agency who protects the source of our drinking water, Lake Michigan. They also manage our wastewater. And for far too long, marginalized people have dealt with the plight of flooding. And so my entire career, I have been dedicated to marginalized people, and that's why I chose the MWRD.
All right, finally, I read your book, and you said that your story of life is delayed but not denied. It sounds like somebody who has a higher aspiration. So I read your book. At the end, it says, Miles, your husband, Miles, shall we discuss baby number 2 before I explore running for a seat in the U.S. Congress? What say you to that?
We did have baby number 2, and in the current moment in time, I am proud to serve as commissioner at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. Having 2 kids, anyone knows, is an extremely heavy task, and I'm focused on protecting the source of our drinking water and raising our 2 kids, Zane and Zion, who are 5 and 3.
Okay, but I still read it.
Thank you for reading my book. I appreciate that so much.
And I read your Congress problem. We're going to see what happens. Precious Brady Davis, Commissioner for the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. Thank you. And thank you for your time and addressing critical issues today.
Thank you so much.
All right, one more break. Still to come on WGN TV Political Report. Top Illinois politicians pondered their political futures, what we know about the major decisions ahead. Stay with us.